Welcome back to 30-Second Basketball, where we go over the most important games from the previous night and recap them in around 30 seconds. Let's get into it. The first game of the night was when the Mavericks rolled into the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse to take on the Cavaliers. Luka ended up dropping a near triple-double with 35 points, 13 assists, and 9 rebounds in a 120-112 Dallas win. Dorian Finney-Smith helped out Doncic with 28 points of his own to lead the Mavericks to victory. Karis LeVert and Darius Garland combined for 57, but it just wasn't enough to take down Dallas. The Mavericks are now third place in the West following the Warriors' loss, and the Cavaliers are fighting to stay ahead of the 8th seeded Nets as they now only lead them by 2 games. The Mavericks will now visit Washington tomorrow night, and the Cavaliers will try to steal a game in Atlanta tonight in the second half of a back-to-back. A huge game in terms of seeding in the East went down on Wednesday night in the TD Garden when Boston versed off against the Heat. It was a tight game all night, but Miami would end up taking the game late in the fourth quarter to maintain the first seed in the East. This loss dropped Boston to the 4th seed in the East as well. For the Heat, Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry led the way with 24 points and 23 points respectively. The Celtics' Big Two and Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown led the way with 23 and 28 points, but it just wasn't enough against a feisty Miami Heat team. The Heat will now visit Chicago on Saturday, and the Celtics will host the Pacers tomorrow night. Important win for the Hornets came last night as they beat the Knicks in New York 125-114. This win for Charlotte puts them a half game behind the 8th seeded Nets and a half game ahead of the 10th seeded Atlanta Hawks. This loss for the Knicks puts them 5.5 games out of the 10th seed in the East, so their playoff chances are pretty much gone. Miles Bridges led the way for the Hornets with a very efficient 31-point game, shooting 11 from 15 of the field and 4-4 from three-point land. Evan Fournier canned 6 of his 8 3-point attempts and had 30 points for the Knicks, but it just wasn't enough in an 11-point win for the Hornets. Charlotte will now visit the 76ers on Saturday night, and the Knicks will try to keep their slim playoff chances alive when they host the Cavaliers on Saturday. The fourth game of the recap was when the Grizzlies went into San Antonio and claimed a 112-111 victory without all-star guard Ja Morant. This win for Memphis makes them 19-2 when they are without Ja Morant all season, and they also clinched the 2 seed in the West. The Spurs fell out of the play-in tournament after dropping this game, but they still just sit a half game behind the 10th seeded Lakers. Tyus Jones for the Grizzlies led the way with scoring as he had 25 points. For the Spurs, DeJounte Murray had a double-double with 33 points and 13 rebounds, but his team-up came 1 point short up on their home floor. The Grizzlies will now host Phoenix tomorrow night in what should be a thrilling matchup, and the Spurs will try to keep their playoff chances alive when they host the Trailblazers tomorrow night. The Phoenix Suns kept winning last night as they beat the Warriors 107-103 in the Chase Center. The Suns already have the 1 seed in the West locked up, however this sent the Warriors down to the 4th seed following a Mavericks win. The Suns' 9th straight win was fueled by Mikal Bridges' 22 points and Chris Paul's 15 points. Suns center DeAndre Ayton also had a massive double-double with 16 points and 16 rebounds. For the Warriors, Jordan Poole shot a solid 11 of 22 from the field and tied a career high in 38 points, but his team fell 4 points short. The Warriors could also be in danger of falling even lower in the West as they only lead the 5th seeded Nuggets by 2 games and Steph Curry will remain out for the foreseeable future. The Suns will now visit Memphis tomorrow night, and the Warriors will host the Jazz on a Saturday night.